So, you finally booked it. The summer trip. Rome, or Barcelona, or Athens. Somewhere with old streets, good food and a beach you've had saved on your phone for 2 years. Here's what nobody prints in the brochure. The biggest threat to that trip in 2026 isn't a delayed flight or a lost bag. It's the air itself. And if the heat catches you off guard in the wrong country, the bill for it can land somewhere north of what you paid for the entire vacation. Stick with me, because in a few minutes, I'll break down exactly how that bill gets so big, and more importantly, how to keep traveling without putting yourself or your wallet at risk. First, let's talk about what's actually going on out there. Every summer lately, the headlines sound the same, just a little louder. But 2026 didn't wait for peak summer. Europe was already getting hit in May, and by late June, the heat was breaking records across the continent. France recorded its hottest day ever. The UK pushed close to 100 degrees. And tourist cities weren't just uncomfortable. They were changing hours, closing attractions early, and telling people to get indoors. And the health side is no joke. The World Health Organization calls heat a silent killer, which sounds like TV drama until you get why. Heat barely shows up on a death certificate. It just quietly pushes a body past what it can handle. And the paperwork blames the heart or the kidneys. In a matter of days this summer, that quiet killer was tied to more than 1,300 extra deaths across Europe, with heat alerts spreading across much of the continent at the same time. But you're picturing this as a faraway over there kind of problem? Look at our own backyard. That same summer, the National Park Service was flat out telling people not to hike the Grand Canyon at midday after hikers died on the trails, with the canyon floor forecast to hit 110. This isn't some distant thing you read about. It's already showing up at one of our own national parks. So, the numbers are real, but numbers on a screen are easy to scroll past. The real question is what a heat wave actually does to your trip once you're standing in the middle of it. Start with your itinerary, because heat wrecks it in ways you'd never see coming. The wildest one? Your flight. When the air gets hot enough, it actually gets thinner, and thinner air means less lift, so some planes can't take off with a full load. That's how you end up bumped off a flight you booked months ago, sometimes before the vacation even starts. And it doesn't stop at the airport. That same heat warps train tracks, softens roads, and pushes power grids to their limit. Even the Louvre started closing early just to cope. Your color-coded Google Maps plan? The heat does not care about your plan. But your schedule getting torched is honestly the easy part. It also comes for your body, and this is where people get it dangerously wrong. Look, there's a massive difference between, wow, I really need a cold Sprite right now, and, oh no, I don't actually know what city I'm in. The first one is heat exhaustion. Heavy sweating, cramps, dizziness, a pounding headache, skin gone pale and clammy. The second is a full-blown heat stroke. Your core temperature spikes, the sweating can stop, you get confused, maybe pass out, and your organs start to struggle. That's a call an ambulance moment, not a sit down for 10 minutes one. And here's the twist most people miss. Tourists are weirdly high risk. You're the one walking 6 miles of cobblestones, standing in line at noon and doing wine at lunch, and alcohol pulls water out of you at the exact moment your body's begging for it. Which brings me to that number I promised you, the one that changes how you pack. Here's where a rough afternoon quietly turns into a real bill. Get seriously sick abroad, and your regular US health insurance may cover far less than you expect overseas. And some plans barely help at all. Original Medicare? In most cases, very little overseas. So you're paying out of pocket up front in a currency you're still doing math on. And if the local hospital can't handle it and you need a medical flight home, that doesn't run in the hundreds. It runs in the tens of thousands, sometimes a lot more. One bad afternoon in the sun can quietly cost more than the whole trip did. So the move is to just not go? Nah. You don't cancel Italy because it's hot out. You just stop being the tourist who gets blindsided, which is the whole rest of this video. So how do the people who travel through this heat every summer pull it off without ending up on an IV drip with a translator app open? Mostly, they respect the clock. Do your sightseeing early, like be the weirdo alone in the plaza at 7 a.m. early. Cooler air, no crowds, way better photos. Then flip the day and make midday the indoor part. Museums, a long lunch with AC, a mall, a movie. You're not being lazy, you're recharging. Head back out in the evening once the stone streets stop radiating heat like a pizza oven. One quick habit that changes everything. Every morning, check the heat index, not just the temperature. In an app like AccuWeather, that feels like number bakes in humidity. And on a sticky day, it can read 10 or 15 degrees hotter than the actual thermometer. That's the number that really decides whether your afternoon walk is fine or a mistake. Speaking of AC, do not assume you'll have it. This one blindsides Americans. Back home, around 90% of houses have air conditioning. In Europe, about 1 in 5. So before you book that charming old apartment, actually read the reviews and search the words AC, hot, or stuffy. If 3 guests mention sweating through the sheets, believe them. A lot of older European buildings were built for cooler climates and winter warmth, the exact wrong superpower in July. Next, make hydration a plan, not a mood. Most people hydrate completely wrong on vacation. They wait until they're thirsty, buy 1 tiny bottle, take 3 heroic sips, and call it hydration. In real heat, that's nowhere near enough. Drink steadily. Start before you head out. Refill where you can, especially in cities with public drinking fountains, and only where the water is clearly marked safe, and let your food carry water too. Melon, grapes, cucumbers, a big salad. Your body doesn't care whether the water shows up in a bottle or a slice of watermelon. Alcohol deserves its own warning. A cold beer in a sunny plaza feels amazing for about 12 minutes. Then your body sends the invoice. Alcohol makes dehydration worse, dulls your awareness, and makes you way less likely to notice the early symptoms. You don't have to skip it. Just match every drink with water and go easy before anything outdoors. Now, dress like you respect the forecast. Loose, light-colored, breathable. Tight dark jeans in a heat wave are basically a portable regret machine. Grab one of those little handheld fans too. Yes, it looks ridiculous. And no, you will not care about that around hour 2 in a breezeless train station. And reapply your sunscreen. Once at breakfast is not a binding contract with the sun. Quick bit of real talk. A buddy of mine did Rome in July a couple years back, powered through a whole afternoon of sightseeing on basically 1 espresso and half a bottle of water, and ended the day on a saline drip in a clinic instead of at dinner. He was fine. And about 400 euros lighter. The heat doesn't send a warning text. It just mails the bill. A couple of things to sort out before you even leave home. If you've got asthma, a heart condition, anything heat can make worse, talk to your doctor first. And specifically, ask how high heat affects your medications, because some of them don't love baking in a hot bag all day either. Get travel insurance that actually includes emergency medical care and evacuation. Remember that scary number from earlier? This is the cheap version of never finding out what it feels like to pay it. And read the fine print on your flights and hotels, refundable rates, flexible change policies. So if the heat forces a reshuffle, you're the one rebooking for free instead of eating a non-refundable charge on top of a wasted day. Here's the honest version. The heat isn't a reason to stay home and watch everyone else's trips through a screen. Rome in summer is still Rome. But the people who come back with great stories instead of great hospital bills are the ones who treated the weather as part of the plan, not a surprise that happened to them. If this saved you even one miserable afternoon, do me a quick favor and hit that like button and subscribe. Because this is the stuff nobody tells you until it's too late. Then I'm actually curious, what's the hottest place you've ever traveled to? And did it wreck your plans, or did you tough it out? Drop it in the comments, because I promise someone reading this is about to book that exact city and needs to hear it. Have an amazing trip. Just don't let the summer of 2026 be the one that costs you thousands for a lesson you could have packed for.